The justice is scheduled to meet tomorrow to review two challenges to the administration's vaccine policies. One requires large private businesses to either mandate vaccines or require employees to get tested weekly and wear masks. The other is a vaccine requirement for roughly 10 million healthcare workers. The policies have faced a lot of pushback. More than 24 Republican-led states asked the court to block the mandate for employers, and several businesses have criticized the rules. Among the latest, the U.S. Postal Service. The deputy postmaster recently asked the government for a temporary waiver from the vaccine requirement, warning it could lead to the loss of many employees and disrupt vital operations. Business and labor attorney Seth Berensweig is with us now. Seth, briefly, if you could, break down the arguments here from each side. Does either have an edge in court tomorrow?
Sure. Well, this is a historic and very rare emergency hearing that's taking place here in Washington tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And as you've correctly noted, it really breaks into two channels of different kinds of regulations, but they really end up in the same common core legal issue. It relates to whether or not the federal government is unconstitutionally overreaching when it promulgates emergency regulations to try to address vaccination requirements in both the private employer venue as well as with medical workers. This affects a total of over 90 million workers throughout the United States. The administration is contending that it falls within the general purpose and ambit of the statutes that the agencies are experts and are authorized to promulgate. And the opponents are saying that this is an unconstitutional overreach. It's going to be a very close call and probably a razor-thin vote, and it will be happening very quickly with the result out probably within the next few days.
You know, one of the potential arguments against the mandates involves whether or not the vaccines permit transmission. I mean, we know they don't. How relevant might that be in the court, strictly looking at whether the mandate's constitutional or not?
Well, I think that the issue of constitutionality is probably going to end up really boiling down to more of a pure legal argument as to whether or not the justices believe that this is something that falls within the scope of the enabling statutes for each of the agencies. You have the OSHA agency for the private employer mandate, and CMM, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid, with the healthcare workers. And it's really going to end up as to whether or not it falls within the ambit of the statute, whether it directly addresses a grave danger, which is going to be viewed as an emergency. At the end of the day, I think that it's probably going to end up on the shoulders of Chief Justice Roberts. He tends to be kind of the man in the middle, if you will, in these sorts of decisions. You'll recall that he was the vote that saved Obamacare a couple of years ago. And I tend to believe that he's probably going to try to be in the middle to perhaps save this. It's going to be an unusual result if the federal government can't promulgate basic regulations to address a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic, especially that's experiencing a significant surge right now. So make no doubt about it, it's going to be a close call. But I think at the end of the day, the administration has a slightly stronger argument.
Seth Berensweig, thanks so much.